Welcome to the OC podcast. Today's episode is for people who run an outdoor-based business, whether it's a venue or a supplier to the outdoor events market, who would like a little guidance and inspiration on growing their business online. So today we're talking to the perfect people to help us with this. I'm joined by two digital visibility specialists, Emily and Alan Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo. They have a vast amount of experience marketing outdoor event businesses, and now they work with many other businesses to help them maximise their online presence. So Emily and Alan, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting us be here.
Yeah, thanks, Sophie, and fab to see you. It's been ages.
It's been ages. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
We wanted to talk to you today about this because I think for most businesses who are operating in the outdoor events market, the vast majority of the inquiries that they're going to be getting through are generated online. So it's incredibly important for businesses to optimize their online presence. But as we both know, this can be a bit of an overwhelming task. So you, as I've said, are digital visibility specialists, bit of a mouthful, but that's what you are, online visibility specialists.
Yes.
But you've also got quite an extensive background in outdoor events yourselves. So perhaps we can start by hearing a bit more about your background and what prompted you to start Yellow Tuxedo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think we need to cover off the digital visibility specialist at first. Yeah, do you know what? When you start these things, you have to give yourself a title. You know, it's how it kind of works, a label. And we weren't quite marketing, we weren't quite this, and it really was about being, you know, growing more visible digitally. So we're like, oh, digital visibility specialist. But now every time we say it, it's like trying to get like a cream cracker out your mouth or something.
Yeah, it is.
You know. Yeah.
But anyway,
Emily, how did we get into outdoor events?
we were in outdoor events.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We have been working together for the best part of 11 years, and a massive chunk of that was when we worked together in our outdoor wedding business. And we've been in the wedding industry for about a decade nearly. We both were made in that area of redundancy with our old jobs, sad times. We thought, well, what can we do? Should we either go back into employment or should we work together? So, you know, we haven't divorced yet, which is good. But we work together, putting up bell tents and doing outdoor event management with Bailey Bell Tents. We absolutely adored it. We did everything from the infrastructure on the ground to event management part. We had a bit of experience in event management beforehand. We managed to grow an outdoor wedding blog, which was really exciting for us. And we had a really huge network, like we all do, of wedding suppliers and other incredible people in that industry. And we only left the wedding industry in 2020 down to that darn thing called COVID, really. It just unfortunately, it did sink our business, unfortunately. But we did have plan B already in motion, which was Yellow Tuxedo. Yellow Tuxedo is a digital visibility company, but we started growing that way back 10 years ago when we started Bailey Bell Tents. We had a really good online presence, and Alan will go into why we went into that rather than a traditional marketing for a wedding industry business. But we realized quite swiftly that a lot of other businesses were going, I don't know how you do what you're doing. Can we have some help? So we were offering a lot of ad hoc support. And when it came to 2020, actually having that firmly as a business was the right move for us. And Alan, do you want to explain why we went?
Thank you, Emily. Sorry, it's just a husband and wife thing. It was kind of, we had a business in the wedding industry, like everyone, you know, who's in it does. And at the time, we're going back to kind of early 2012, 13, 14. The main marketing channels for your business were you had a website with some referral and bits, you were in Facebook groups, and you went to wedding fairs. And that seemed to be the main thing you did, right, to kind of market your business. And which was a fab, and it all works to a certain extent. Everything works. This is really important. Nothing's bad. Everything's okay. It's sometimes about can we be more simple or more efficient? And we actually, everything we'd been running away from in our employed life, we decided to kind of bring back out and go, well, actually, I don't want to go to a wedding fair because we were outdoor weddings. So most of our wedding fairs were in the winter. I think most are, I lose track. We would then be outside. It would be raining. No one would want to come out and see us. And then when we got back, we'd have to dry a tent, you know. And we'd started to have kids, and we had a young family, and we're like, well, this isn't what I want to do on a Sunday kind of lunchtime. So then we decided to kind of bring back in everything we'd been running away from. Like, I've had enough of being employed, don't want to do that. And I'd done some technical stuff, and Emily had done a bit of marketing and whatnot. And
Marketing and whatnot.
Well, that's about the kind of generalized overview of it, marketing and whatnot. And we just moved everything online. We moved everything online. We started answering the questions people were asking online. We made sure we had content out there. And it is that we work on this principle that if you put something on the internet, it should be working hard for you. If you can't really explain what it's doing for you or how it's building your ecosystem or something like that, then it can be doing more, right? And the easy one is, we've met in across all the years of business, there are loads of people, and we go, oh, have you got a website? Does it get much traffic? No, it only gets the traffic kind of I share the link out to. It's like, no. Your website should be getting traffic off of Google whilst you sleep. Fact, and that's not by paying for ads or anything else like that. If you get your website right, it will work for you. And so we'd started doing all of that. And as Emily said, kind of eventually start having conversations, and people weren't quite sure how we were doing it. But we were in that bizarre world where we go, why is no one else doing this? When the off season hit in the winter, in October time, we were kind of smashing out content, video content, blogs, and we're like, why is no one else doing this? And then bit by bit through conversations, you start to understand why they weren't, which we will come to as part of this conversation. That's how it all happened. So we started Yellow Tuxedo, and then COVID came along, wiped out Bay Lily Bell tents, and we were like, best grow Yellow Tuxedo a bit further then. And we'd had a slight overlap. I think that it's hard. You know what? The wedding world's hard work. Anyone in it, give yourself a pat on the back. And I mean that sincerely.
Absolutely.
Okay? It's hard work. It's hands-on. It's hard work. And whether it's hard work because it's hot or whether it's hard work because it's cold and wet, it's still hard work. And you know what? We had young kids. We were working weekends, and we were like, actually, we want to see them. We've had enough of sweating from the eyeballs when it's 35 degrees and drying 20 temps when it's wet. So we'd started a shift. And then COVID forced that shift.
But we still have a very, very soft spot for the wedding industry.
Oh, I have a ridiculous soft spot for the wedding, like a piece of my heart. Do you know what?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you were in it for a long time.
And if anyone ever says they're getting married, I have to dig deep to not jump into. So who's your photographer? What are you doing for this? Have you thought about this? I have to go, oh, okay, that's lovely.
Your wedding
kind of like get a twitch. Yeah. It's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, people who are working in the wedding or events industries are working incredibly hard, and I think time management is something that people perhaps really struggle with when they're running a business, especially if they've got other commitments, if they've got family, for example. Some people have second jobs. So there's so much to do out there, so many social media platforms and SEO and all the rest of it. What would you say people in the outdoor events market should prioritize in terms of how they're spending their time with their online marketing?
It's a really good question, because it's what you should be doing and what you tend to be doing. And I think a lot of the people that we have worked with over the years will naturally drift towards social media because it's tangible, and then they know what they can be doing on the apps. Actually, and we said this pre-recording, actually, Sophie, wasn't it? It's the fact that when you think about your couple who are getting married, who are planning the best day of their life, the first place where they're going to go to together really is on Google. They're going to do those searches. They're going to be looking for venues nearby. They're going to find out that information before they even get to your social media. When you're on social media, you are hoping that you're going to...
I mean, they haven't planned it since they were like 12 years old.
Some of us
And it's on a mood board on the wall. I thought everyone did that.
Whatever. In terms of like social media, we are always pushing that content out to people and hoping that the right people may see it, or they're going to have that validation. They found you on the internet and they're going to come and look at your social media content to see what you're about and what you're up to. We know that we should all be on Google, and the majority of your listeners will probably recognize that. But I think it comes down to a lot is I don't know how to. I really don't know how to optimize my website, or to check my page speed, or to research my keywords and all of that kind of stuff, which is a real shame, because that is where the gold is, and we're not utilizing it to the best of its ability. When it comes to creating a 9 grid on Instagram, we play around with Canva, don't we? We know we can create graphics, or we have photographs that we can share. But actually, I think we need to be prioritizing what is actually driving that traffic and those conversions to our business, because ultimately we are on social media or online fully for our business, not just for the sake of spending time that we don't have. We are, like you've just said it, we are so time poor, and prioritizing where you should put that time is really important, because you don't want to be tied to your phone all day of every single day. You don't want to be doing it. So as a business, what my point of view would be actually looking, okay, think logically about where my couples could be and what they're looking for, understanding both their pain points and their desires, because when we're looking at optimizing your content for that, we're not always looking at what's their problem, what we're trying to solve. We're always looking at aspirational, inspirational. They're trying to find that thing that's going to make their heartstrings be tugged.
There's an easy kind of thing for that, isn't it? So for every question you've ever been asked, there are X people typing that question into Google, and you can go and find out what X is from Google. So you can find out the best way of they're asking that question, what they're trying to find.
Yeah, we were talking about this previously as well. Things like Facebook groups become a bit of a vortex, and we spend a lot of time in things like Facebook, and then we wonder why we're time poor, but actually you realize you spent an hour and a half doing jack all really on Facebook, but apart from putting some posting out there. Things like Facebook groups should actually be using as our superpower, not about forwardly pushing our content out all the time, but actually using it for social listening, to understand what those questions are that our audiences are already using. Whatever they're, every single year we get a new tranche of people getting engaged. The same key things come up time and time again. It's not rinse and repeat all the time. Trends happen, but if you're planning an outdoor wedding, how big should my marquee be?
No, number one question is, what size generator do I need?
What size?
Definitely number one question ever.
And it's true, because for our couples, they're not event planners. This is the first time, and probably the last time, hopefully the last time, that they will. We say
2023. It's not the last time anymore, is it?
We did have a couple that got married under Bailey Bell Tents guys who lasted less than 3 months before they got divorced. It was all very
what a shame.
Yeah, it was like, maybe there will be a second wedding they're planning at some point. But anyway, they're not natural event planners. They don't know what size generator they need. They don't know that they need to have a plan B or C or D if things happen.
And you don't, without being funny on the generator front, you don't get generator inspiration, right? You get you get marquee inspiration, tables, flower.
There's a gap in the market there. Someone needs to fill that. Right?
We're having it. It's recorded. It's ours. It's ours. So there is not that you need inspiration, but you know what I mean. So that you're bombarded by the answers to all these other thoughts. So actually, when it comes to, for argument's sake, grasping hold of the generator example for a minute, that could be something you're then typing into Google to find the answer. Yeah. Why not? Why is your blog not the answer to that question, or your video doing a tour of wedding generators and understanding? Why is your answer not the answer to that question?
Yeah. And I think what you're saying there about listening is really key, because I think what a lot of businesses will do is fall into the trap of knowing their business so well and knowing what their message is, what their service is, but just putting that same message out all the time across all the different channels, and not necessarily listening to their audience and researching what people want to be finding out. Sorry, Sophie,
but and that message it will naturally become flat, right? Because if you repeat the same thing repeatedly, it does change. It will just change, naturally over time. But by listening and adjusting, it still remains fresh. And actually, we've got a great example. Emily's going to punch me under the table for talking about this one. But we got a great example of the listening. When we had Bailey Bell Tents, once upon a time, we made a video on how to put a bell tent up, okay? And we made this video for internal training. So there
might be bell tent companies on who might overtake us.
No. Well, I'm not surprised. We haven't done anything in ages. I don't think we are number one anymore. And so then we were in some Facebook groups, not wedding ones, actually, glamping ones. And everyone used to talk about, how do you put your tent up? How do you put your tent up? So we thought, let's answer that question. So we made our private video public. And then when everyone asked that question, we started going, oh, we've done a video. This is how we put it up for our weddings and events. This is
fantastic.
Now, if you start to analyze that, you go, well, hold on, why are you promoting yourself in a glamping business, right? In a glamping Facebook group? We saw it as brand awareness, building fans.
They put it up the Bailey way now.
Reputation, to the extent that it got named, I put my tent up the Bailey way, right?
Oh, amazing.
And we would see people, it was unbelievable. And that video's had well over 100,000 views, like 120,000 views on YouTube. And what's crazy is this video where we were showing someone how to put up a bell tent, which ultimately we wanted them to pay us to do, started to prop up a certain part of our business. As people saw our name, saw our brand, our reputation was out there. We're going to come on to reputation in a minute. And it became this pinnacle part of our marketing without even trying.
Not only that, the type of person who is a camping, outdoorsy, glamping person, the likelihood is when it comes to them getting married or promoting to their family and friends, they're going to want an outdoorsy grassroots, and they might want to have multiple tents for their business. So therefore, yes, we've shown them how to put one up, but when they want 30, we're the first ones in their mind. And it's just
or they've got a mate having an outdoor wedding and they go, oh, Linda, she does bell tents. I wonder where she gets her bell tents from. And she goes, no idea, but I've seen Bayley bell tents. And at all times, you want to be building brands and fans and reputation and, you know, brand ambassadors and everything. At all times, just be building and building all the time, however you can.
Yeah, so it's not always having your sales head on, is it? You're not always trying to sell your product or your service directly to people, but you're in trying to answer those questions and help and guide people. You are creating that brand awareness and drawing more people in.
Yeah, we lead too much with our elevator pitch sometimes. You know, we have that to a patter. If you're to say what my business is, you do it in under 60 seconds and you've got that to less. But actually, that's great in terms of your overarching brand and understanding how you market yourself and your touch points and your the language you use. But really, we need to think wider than that elevator pitch about those things that you can answer for your audience as well.
It's you know, it's a class. Is it Einstein? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yes.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with selling your business, but if you sell and your conversion's low, right, and you're actively involved in that, why not try something different? And the joy of our video, for example, as an example, is if it's a YouTube video and it's optimized, buzzword jargon, but, you know, optimized properly, it then appears on Google. So then we've got Google and YouTube promoting our content for us whilst we're asleep, whilst we're in a field putting tents up, whilst we're playing with our kids, whilst we're ill, whilst we're doing everything else. And Google and YouTube are doing the work for us, you know, and it sounds blasé, but it is that simple if you put the effort in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another problem that perhaps businesses are struggling with at the moment in outdoor events is that outdoor events, outdoor ceremonies, outdoor weddings are becoming so popular that, of course, you know, with supply and demand, there's lots of new wedding venues popping up all over the place. There's lots of new suppliers coming into the market. So how would you say that a business can, you know, really get the word out there and make sure that they are standing out in the crowd for what they do?
Yeah, it's great because ultimately, and without being really sort of blanket everyone, you can only do so many Hessian and lace weddings, right? You know, I can't.
Well, really back it up.
They can only
pipe down, Charchie. I want more Hessian and lace weddings, please.
But no, and it's such a cliche to say, but people do buy from people. And what I find a lot when I'm browsing online as well, I'm looking at social media, is that people forget that there is a face behind that business, especially in the wedding world, when a lot of us are solopreneurs, one-man bands, smaller teams. We're not all a team of 50 people or like a size of Coca-Cola. You know, we have to accept we are mostly small business. So why don't we promote ourselves in the way that we should be in that way? Like, I use a great example. We did some work with our membership group the other day, and we were looking at Instagram, and I actually utilized wedding florists in there. And we looked at 4 accounts. 3 of those florists, I couldn't tell you the brand name. I couldn't tell you where they were based. I could not tell you what their point of difference was. I saw some stunning floral displays. Don't get me wrong, they were stunning, but I could not pinpoint who they were and why would I go for them over them. And then we looked at the 4th account, and it was a very well-known, he's German florist. And I looked at his account, and straight away, you knew his brand personality. He had very crazy hair. He had like over 80,000 odd, you know,
you knew him
followers. We saw his face. We saw his opinion. He saw him talking about trends, and it was interesting. It was super interesting. I mean, I don't need a florist, but I remember him. I keep talking about him in all of our conversations we're having at the moment, because he put his head above the parapet and it's actually going, I don't want to be the same as everyone. It's easy to go, well, that Google trend says that, and Instagram reels tell me I should be dancing 3 times a week and doing that, and I should be jumping on these trends. Actually, it's about working out who you are as a business owner, what you know what your point of difference is, and that could be as simple as the way you speak. If you are a master of ceremonies, for example, people are buying into, you are commanding that space. If you're a photographer, yes, to an extent, and the photos come first, and the way that they use their filters and the way they frame it is going to have that element. Like, I want to have my photos like that. But you have to trust your photographer inside and out to know that they're going to show up on the day. They're going to not be intrusive around your guests. They're going to be part of the family for the day, really, and get involved.
You get the shots you want.
And you're buying into that personality. And Alan and I said this earlier, is the fact that when you go to a wedding fair, you're building that trust from the minute you walk through that door, because you are having a conversation. Social media and online is having a conversation, but you're not necessarily hearing the other side, but you're still opening out that dialogue. You're starting to start the conversations, the questions, the chat, and using it to your benefit as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was leading on from that. It's like, and people seem to forget this, right? Your social media should be treated like you're at a wedding fair, but you're stood at your table. So when you're at a table at a wedding fair or your stand, and someone comes and chats to you, you chat to them. You stop what you're hopefully you stop what you're doing and you chat with them. Why not be treating your social media in the same way? Why do we feel that people are going to want something different from social media to what's possibly working at a wedding fair?
Yeah.
Why not put you more out there? And you were talking about how to be different, stand out from the crowd. And there is some methodology underneath all of this. You can actually implement like some black and white strategy that will raise you up the Google rankings to stand out from the crowd. But simplified, going back to Emily's florist example, if you are a florist, go and look at 5 other florists on Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform you're looking at, and look at them, what they're doing. How can you make yours different? Are they all using natural colors? This is Emily's world. I'm going to try and use like wedding jargon, but I don't know. Are they using more ethereal colors? Ethereal colors. Can you make yours more, color pop?
He tries.
That was Emily. I'm the practical person.
Who's the operations? Ours the aesthetics. That's how it works.
But that's my point. If you're exactly as Emily said, if you're looking at 5 kind of, I don't like competitors. If you're looking 5 other suppliers in the area, I'd much rather say that than competitors. Yeah. And they were like, how can you make yours different? And it's the same for cover art everywhere. And how can yours be different?
It also goes for that, especially as wedding venues, especially as outdoor wedding venues, is thinking ahead to how you want, over the space of your 12 months of your year, how you want to show up across those entire 12 months. We get into a very busy wedding season. April to September, we're usually very, very, very busy. You have that down period, but the problem with being an outdoor wedding supplier, an outdoor venue, is that you don't have weddings in the winter, do you? So it's out thinking, what can I create? What do I want to showcase? If I'm a wedding venue, I want to have content that's showing the wedding venue in full pelt. There are people there, there's infrastructure there. I want to show the experience of how my venue can look absolutely top notch, and you can do it in whatever way you want. Just thinking about having your phone in your hand all times, thinking about just capturing those moments of smiley customers, or it could be how you're putting together that cake, or it's how you...
Or get a 20 quid, I'm pointing because there's one there behind the camera, get a £20 tripod off of Amazon and do a time lapse of you setting up, and just banking all that content ready to go.
Also having the confidence to try those things. Not everybody, and I do recognize we are very fortunate that we're quite confident in that.
We forget, don't we? We actually forget we're quite confident.
That's been a massive learning for us with our clients over the last couple of years, is how that we take for granted how that lack of confidence is across the board, really, with I don't want to look stupid, or I don't know how to press that button, or I don't know how to transition this, or I don't know how to whatever that blocker is. We that shouldn't be an issue. But I think being able to try and actually, I might just put my camera up over there and just see what comes from that, because you might find some little nuggets of gold without even trying too hard. You don't have to use it all the time, but having that library of content that you can just fall back on. So when you are in the winter months, just thinking about where you sit in your industry, just thinking about what your point of difference might be, and actually what have you got to support that. So when you are planning out how you want to show up, at least you've got some stuff to help you get there, rather than being a blank piece of paper where you're like, oh, I don't know where to start.
So basically just document your life, document everything that you're doing while you're doing it.
Gary V, if anyone knows, document, don't create.
Sorry.
So document, don't create always. Just keep going, because then you don't know when you will use it. And then we have so many folders on our phone of various yellow stuff. Just start doing that.
Yeah, fantastic. And then I suppose when you get to those quieter months in the winter, you've got a massive bank of content to be putting out on all of the platforms that you're on.
Absolutely.
And yes is the answer. But going back to being different, when we hit October and all the other local suppliers or whoever, were tailing off because they were running out of stuff to talk about, we would ramp up. So I remember one winter years ago, we started a YouTube series called Bay Lily Meets, where we put one of our bell tents up in the back garden, brought around local suppliers and interviewed them about, what they did. And so we would just start creating new content and putting it out. So, and not all video, some of it was images, some of it was blogs, some was audio, but mixing it up.
And there's something about authenticity there as well, isn't there? Knowing who you are, knowing your business, knowing the kind of people that you want to work with. So if you're a wedding venue, what kind of couples, what vision for their wedding day do you want to attract? Can you meet their needs? And being able to put that out authentically online, rather than just trying to, talk in social media speak or do what everyone else is doing. It's being yourself online. But also, I guess there's a bit of a balance there, isn't there? Because if you're thinking about SEO, there are certain things that you need to do quite formulaically, if that's the right word for, you know what I mean? But also
it's the right word now.
And that's
it is, yes.
Going back to what earlier in this conversation is that people stray away from touching the Google SEO stuff because they think it's complex, and it's really not complex. But you don't know what you don't know. So it's about understanding that level of education that you need to make sure that you can do those basic things like, for example, indexing your website with Google. Not everyone knows to do that, but the minute you tell Google you're here and you wave, people go, oh,
and it literally takes 30 seconds a month.
So it's giving yourself that level of understanding of how technical ability should never be a blocker. You can always upskill yourself, and you can always find someone who can help you to do that. Not saying us, but there are people like us all across the country, all across the world.
Or there are us, Emily.
Or you, absolutely.
But it's about those black and white things in your workflow that are non-negotiable, that allows you to embrace the grey of the content stuff and the fun stuff and all the projects that you have in your head, but actually underpinned by that black and white structure is really, really helpful. And there's one other thing I wanted to sort of tail onto the social media stuff is, yes, we talk about outwardly pushing out our messaging and outwardly pushing out our content and our video. Even if that is not your bag at all, there is still value and time in the engagement side of it. As it actually spending time having conversations. You could put diddly squat on the internet ever, but spend all of your time just commenting, being involved in conversations, searching out for those conversations in Facebook groups and stuff, and being present still is a way to make you memorable versus those people who just chuck their content and run. They put it out, they schedule it 6 months ahead, don't touch Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever they're going to have their main audience there. They just don't do it. So if you are time poor and you don't want to create content, you should, but if you don't want to create content, spending that time meaningfully having conversations is still a way that you can be seen and be different from your competitor.
Well, if we're being brutally honest, it all takes time, right? So even if you're just doing social media or just engaging, it all takes time. And the reality is, you could create video content to go out in, like our video we were talking about earlier, the bell tent one, genuinely took 2 hours to record, edit, and press publish on, right? From everything. Now, yes, I know what I'm doing, right? I understand that, but fundamentally it took 2 hours. That video propped up the part of the business for a period of time.
It
still does, right? We don't even own the business anymore. It still gets views. Every spring, the view count goes up, plateaus for the summer, comes up about Easter and drops down early September. Every year on year, and you see the traffic go through to the website every time. But sorry, my point was about time, wasn't it? But like, it all takes time. So let's work out what's efficient use of your time, what could be simple use of your time, because what's easy is going on Instagram because that's what you're used to. But what actually could you go, I'm not going to spend an hour on Instagram tomorrow. I'm going to spend an hour learning an SEO trick, or I'm going to go and start an hour tomorrow on my YouTube channel and an hour next, or Pinterest. But Pinterest is very good, like YouTube and everything else, because they're more what we would call evergreen content,
social search engines.
Yes.
So it sounds like, you've obviously worked with a lot of different businesses on their digital visibility. It sounds like what you're saying are quite common pitfalls and difficulties people are having is confidence to get themselves out there, to get their message out there online, and to do videos and things like that. Time, because they just don't have time to dedicate to it, and also that not having that technical know-how and feeling like it's all a bit too overwhelming. So bearing that in mind, how would you say businesses should go about overcoming those kind of 3 blockers?
Can I do 2 and leave 1 for you? Would that be all right, darling?
Yes.
Well, hold on. So what we said confidence, we said time, and we said technical blockers.
Know-how. Yeah.
Okay. So technical know-how can be learned, but you've got to choose to start to learn. You've got to go, okay, I don't know this. Or worst case, you don't even know what you don't know, if we're going to get technical. So for argument's sake, coming to a company like ours, or even just having a look at our free stuff on YouTube and our social media, and just start to understand what you don't know. And sometimes it's not about doing something new, it's adjusting what you're already doing to work harder for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do you want to do time or confidence?
Confidence.
And then time. So time, look, do you know what? We're all busy. And in brutally honest, time probably filters into confidence as well, with the answer Emily will give for that in a minute. And time, once again, is working out what you're doing. It's not about time blocking. So we talk about this, someone and like, oh, do you guys not time block? And we're like, no, we don't time block. We've got 3 kids who like to do what they want to do when they want to do it. The other day we were late for school because one decided to scream for 30 minutes. So and this is the reality of the world. So
I would love to be one of those people, and the ones online, because we all see them
in a nice way.
I saw one who was a businessy coach the other day who wakes up at 2:30. What
in the morning?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
To then do his positive affirmations, does a bit of journaling, he'll go and drink a green tea and do whatsoever, then be in the gym by 5 o'clock, and then do his gratitude and then by 7 o'clock he starts his day. And I'm like, oh, come off it.
Not in our house. Our day starts when one of the kids decides to run in and jump on us, and usually that's about 5:45.
We're all realists.
Yeah,
we can all want to find that, but we all have that time, and that's a real reality. Is we say we're busy. Busy is like a gas, right? We will be as busy as we want to be.
Stuff, Emily.
Life is busy. You have to carve out the time and say, right, I am going to dedicate myself. And some of the things that we talk about with Yellow Tuxedo are a block of time, but once you've done them once you've found that space, it is a bit of a workflow, rinse and repeat affair. So yes, initially finding that time. But you've got to think about that long-term gain of how much time you're getting back. How much time do you spend on Instagram versus how much time you actually spend time doing a couple of bits on Pinterest or YouTube or a podcast like this, and get that working better for you. Long term, short amount of time.
I know. And well, if we're on that, so efficiency is a big thing, right? I mean, it's about choice, isn't it? You've got to choose what are you trying to achieve, what do you need to do to achieve it. And taking your podcast, for example, this isn't just a podcast. This one podcast it's on, I don't know, 6, 7 or 8 podcast channels. It can be on YouTube. From YouTube, it can appear on Google. It can go in a blog. It can go in your social media. You can slice and dice this podcast into shorter clips, plus short form. This one-hour recording could basically give you your content for the next month, right? Pretty much everything. Now, if you're posting 4 times a day, it's probably not going to, but it could give you enough content for a month for 1 hour's work. And it is like that, but you've got to choose to do it and everything else.
And then Alan's left me to confidence because he gets scared when he says things.
No. Well, I don't think I can say pull up your big girl pants, but I think you can.
So to me, it's an element sometimes of as a white middle class man, he can't say.
I'm not allowed to say stuff like that.
But it is an element of pick up your big girl, your big boy pants, and try and get on with it. Because if you are working in a shop, if you had a shop front door and people coming through the door, if you're at a wedding fair and someone walked past your stand, you would stop and you would have a conversation and you would go into business mode, because that's what you are there to do. That's why you've chosen to go into business. The idea of doing the things online are scary because you don't know how often. Alan said about time and technical ability. But if that person was to come and listen to your video, they're going to get a snapshot of who you are and what you do. Why would you not talk to them? And it's an element of just getting started and overcoming. And obviously, the more you do, the more of that muscle memory, the easier it becomes. In a 6 months' time, you're not going to be scared of doing it because you see the benefit. I actually have a beautician friend who did that. She was terrified and she was really shaky and she didn't want to. By the last couple of weeks, does a slap of makeup on her face. She used to have to do the entire lot, do her hair, have a wardrobe planned out of what she was going to wear, so she didn't look stupid. You never do look stupid online. But by the end of it, she's like, I'm in my dressing gown. I'm just going to have a chat because I want to. And I love that, because going back to authentic self there, people are buying into you. And if that's how you want to show up, it's really okay. But it is an element of that. Pull your big girl pants up a little bit and go, right, what do I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve?
Yeah, no, sorry, I agree. We're also in the world of imposter syndrome and all of that, aren't we? But what's really important is you've started your business because you're an expert in what you do. I'm so sorry, lunch is repeating on me. I apologize. You're the best person at doing what you do. No one else can be you. Literally, no one else in the world can be you doing what you do. Therefore, you are the only and therefore the best person at doing what you do. And so, yes, we get imposter syndrome some days. I don't think any. I put a poll out once on social media, and I think 2 people said they've never got it. But I felt they were taking it to that extreme crippling imposter syndrome. Well, not crippling, but you know what I mean. Whereas I think everyone has it on a bit of a sliding scale. So once again, if we all have it, doesn't it make it null and void to a certain extent?
It's just being human at the end of the day, isn't it?
Just being, whoa, back it up, Sophie. We're just being human. No, we are machines.
Well, you obviously are.
No, in my head. That's half of it in my head. No, Emily's not saying no.
Digital visibility machines.
We're having that, Emily. That's ours. Write it down.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do at Yellow Tuxedo. And I know you've got a very special event coming up as well, very soon on the 28th of March.
So nicely crowbarred in there. So.
We definitely couldn't talk about the Digital Circus live, could we?
No, we couldn't do that. So we, as Yellow Tuxedo, we work in many ways, but the main crux of what we do, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, is imparting the how of getting online. So we are happy to sit there with you and work out your why and your what, but we are there to really support with that how piece to make sure that you can fly in whatever direction you want to go. So we work with our clients on a one-to-one basis. We work alongside you to kind of understand that auditing of where you've been, what you've been doing, and where you want to get to, and creating that action plan. But we also work with our clients in a membership called the Digital Circus, which we're going to talk about in a minute as well. But that's more about sort of snackable content where you can go and self-learn. So going back to that whole upskill yourself, and if you need to find that knowledge gap, go and find that time to do it. We supply that opportunity to go and upskill yourself. So we have a membership that's filled with people. Lots of people actually still in it from our wedding days in there. We've got events people, we've got florists, we've got musicians, photographers in there as well. But really coming in to kind of work out what your we talk about 3 things every single month, rather than having a massive strategy where, let's face it, we all have done those exercises in the past. You might have been to see a free 5-day challenge with a strategy, whatever that looks like to you. You've got a 15-page document that you go, great, I've done that.
What next?
What next?
How do I do it?
We actually tailor it take it right back to 3 things. One thing that you want to upskill yourself on in any given month. So it could be, I want to learn how to utilize Pinterest better for my business. One thing that you want to explore. So it could be a collaboration with another supplier. It could be that you want to work on a content project. You want to look at different monetization opportunities for when you're in the off season. It doesn't matter. So one thing to explore. And then upskill, explore.
Implement, upskill, explore.
Implement, there we go, implement. And one thing.
It's so ingrained in us, we forgot.
One thing that you're going to implement and taking that time to really hone in on that and get really good at that, to then take the next step for the next thing, because we are time poor. We don't want to be, 1,000 things that we should be doing, shoulda, coulda, woulda. We want to do the things really, really right. So kind of focusing on one thing for a little bit, getting really good, and then bringing it up to the next level.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we're removing those digital blockers so you can achieve what you want to achieve. I was been thinking of different ways of explaining it recently, and the other one I like is, we show you how to drive so you can choose where you want to drive to, that. So where your goal is. We're giving you those skills that are going to help you get to where you're trying to get to. We are big And this was the same in Bailey bell tents as it is Yellow Tuxedo. For some people go, how do you go from putting a bell tent in a field, up in a field in the wedding industry, to being a digital visibility specialist? Can't even say it, digital visibility specialist. And we go, well, actually, it's underpinned by some fundamentals, and the fundamentals are pretty much fun, adventure, and helping people, wanting to help people achieve what they're trying to achieve. And it's the same here as it was then. We were helping them achieve an amazing wedding day or event. Now we want to help them achieve their business goals, their life goals, and everything else by removing those blockers for them.
And then the Digital Circus Live, which is our event on the it's on the 28th of March, is something that is really important to us, because ultimately we have roots in the events industry. I
can't get rid of it.
I can't. We can't shake it. It's that scratch we have to itch, and it's something we want to do. So we've managed to take our learnings from the wedding world and apply that online, which is super exciting for us. And we create it's the third year running the Digital Circus Live, which is an online conference, and it's hosted on a platform called Hopin. But we have a full day of networking with interactive workshops, keynote speakers. We've got an expo hall, a bit like a wedding fair on speed, and a kind of virtual space there. And it's a really great way to come along and to upskill yourself that little bit more, to get some ideas of how you can connect. And this year is all about human connection in a digital world, which is so key to everything we've talked about today, really.
Yeah.
There's the hard skills of learning how to do SEO or Instagram or whatever that is for you, but actually understanding that we are all human and that we do want to build these really good, solid relationships. And it can be done, absolutely can be done. The whole day is an exploration of that. And we can't wait to see everyone there under the virtual big top roof.
And I came to the event you ran last year, the Digital Circus Live that you did last year. And I have to say, genuinely, it was a fantastic event. And there was lots of different speakers to choose from, lots of different areas that you could go and explore. And you record it all, don't you? So that if you choose one and then you miss the other one, you don't miss it, because you can watch it back afterwards. So it's well worth the ticket for anyone who's interested. So where can people find out about the Digital Circus Live?
You can visit www.thedigitalcircus.live, quite simple as that, and all the information about the day is there. You can get your tickets online there, all the breakdown of the schedule throughout the day, so you can really fit it in. And that's the biggest thing for us, is that we're all busy people, and you may have things on the 28th.
I'd say busy, it's a banned phrase, we decided.
We are all
our days are all full up.
We all fill our day, but the idea is that you can come along and you can hop in and hop out of the day to fit your schedule as well. So if you want to learn about podcasting, come and learn about podcasting. If you want to learn about public speaking, you can go learn about public speaking, and you can fit it into whatever your day is looking like on the 28th.
Fantastic. So if people listening to this are feeling inspired and they think that they would like a little bit of help with growing their own businesses online, what is the one thing you'd suggest that they do as a very first step, apart from coming to the Digital Circus?
Well, obviously coming to the circus.
Sorry, what was that? Where was that? So, where would they go? The Digital Circus?
The thing that I would always say is the fact that you come along to events like the Digital Circus, or you come along and listen to a podcast like this, or you listen to a 5-day challenge and you get very inspired to do more stuff. What you need to do before you even start adding more stuff to your stuff is the let's look at where you've been. I
was going to say the same.
Yeah, look back and actually do a proper audit. And if you were to Google your business name tomorrow, what would come up on that first page of Google? And it's interesting because we have our net is so far and wide, but we don't even realize it sometimes. You're on directories that you may have forgotten about. You've got guest blogs that you write on. You might have had PR opportunities that people are sharing your business name about, and you don't always know how you're showing up. So to really understand how you're showing up is number one.
Can I interject slightly? So the thing about the wedding, right, this sounds stupid, but now we've left the wedding industry and have ridiculously fond love for it. Some things we now recognize. Some of what we're talking about is so much easier in the wedding industry as it is for a lot of our other clients. We sit there with some clients having to brainstorm what they can create content about, what they could blog about, who they could guest blog for. In the wedding world, you've got styled shoots, you've got what your clients are doing, what you're doing, you've got guest blogging, there is so much in the wedding world. It's about ensuring that it's done right in that case.
Yeah.
Sorry, Emily.
So yes, first things first, work out where you've been and what you are currently showing up for and and then working out where you want it to be, because not everybody wants world domination. I know Alan can't believe that.
Yeah, of course they do. Everyone wants to be a billionaire.
depending on how big your business is, it could be your side hustle. It could be your main bread and butter. You might want to have 50 weddings a year. You might only want 5,
And of course,
whatever
most
that
businesses
ends
are quite local as well, aren't they? If you're a wedding venue, you're only looking to cast your net for people, generally people who live in your locality.
Generally, yes. But again, the exciting thing about online presence and digital visibility is that you suddenly become, whether you are a geographic specific business or not, you are a global business. Because you don't know where the opportunity is going to come to, because you don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Brad Pitt might be looking for his the next English rose to marry, and he's going to go and find someone in the Cotswolds that he wants to get married. You just don't know who's looking at your content. And that's when we come back to Bailey Bell Tents, when we had our opportunities. BBC found us for comment on the wedding industry. We were on the radio for Dogs at What was our thoughts on dogs at weddings? I don't even really care, but I had a thought for the BBC. ITV this morning, we were part of the Law Commission. When
do you not remember? We launched, so we were the top of Google, and we'd put effort in to get there, but we knew what we were doing, and so we were there. And we launched our new website, and we're driving around. I think it was on a Sunday, something like that. And we're driving around, and we put our website out. Launched our new website, and we got an inquiry come in within about an hour of the new website.
Amazing.
And we're looking at it, and we go, this is brilliant. And it's some guy called Mark Owen. And it turned out that this was Mark Owen from Take That. Now, look, the point isn't...
I wish I didn't even realise that until we got to his front gate, and I went, oh, it's quite a big house. Well, maybe it is. I was like 8 months pregnant at the time. My hair was a bit of a mess, thinking, it'd just be some random guy called Mark Owen. I was like, oh, no. It's actually Mark Owen off of Take That. Oh my!
But look, that Mark Owen doesn't. Well, he contributed to paying the bills. It doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't make your business bigger. It doesn't do anything like that, right? But it does make it a lot more fun, and yet that's not going to happen unless you put the effort in to grow your online presence. It's just an example of the randomness that can come when you actually grow your online presence. So we have 5 kind of pillars, and the 5th one's opportunity. Because when you start creating regular content and you start putting your name out there and you start putting your head above the parapet, opportunities can happen. And Emily started this talking about it doesn't matter if you only want business within the 5 miles near you, but the fact of the matter is you're a global business overnight. But the second you start a business in 2023 and you create one social media channel, you're a global business. So why not make the most of it and recognize other opportunities that can come from that, whether that be a celebrity booking because that's fun, or whether that's new revenue streams or collaborations that can come in from that, but when you're in it, get in it and make it happen, so to speak.
So really it's about understanding where your business is at the moment, and then I suppose you need to have these quite tangible targets of where you want to take the business, and then I guess the 3rd step is working out how you're going to get there.
Yes. Yeah. But can we just cover target very quickly? Because I know we've talked in the past about business plans and strategies and everything else. It might just be as simple as I want 10 clients a month, or it might be as simple as I need £5,000, whatever, just figures of time. But sometimes a simpler target is better, because it allows for, and, going back to our car driving analogy, if the target is going to Scotland, how you get there is entirely up to you, but the fact of the matter is you still need to know you're going to Scotland. You don't need to go, I'm going to Scotland, I'm going on the M1 and I'm going to stop here, here, and here. You don't have to have that as part of your initial strategy. You need to know where you're going, and you need to know what you're doing tomorrow, i.e. when you drive out the drive in the rough direction, but you can change at any point.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, this has been really interesting, and I think there's lots of really top tips there for businesses and people to take away and learn from. So thank you so much. One final question I'd like to ask you, because we are all about the outdoor ceremony, so this is something we ask everybody on the OC podcast. What is your one best piece of advice for somebody who's planning an outdoor ceremony?
Oh, great question. It's so
not generators.
How big is your generator?
Really, how big should your generator be? You'll need to answer that question.
I can't remember. Well, I'm sure it used to be 40 kVA, something like that.
So boring.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that anymore. I'm well out of it. Get someone in the industry.
I know. Every day of my life I'm falling asleep. But no, if you're planning an outdoor ceremony or an outdoor wedding, is or as always, think about the weather, because there's always needs to be that plan B. But B is thinking, what is your vision? And you have a blank canvas a lot of the time. If you're going to a farmer's field, really think about how you want that day to feel and what those logistical steps are. So you've got 50 cars coming. Where do you want the cars? Do you want them in your photos? Probably not. So let's just think logically. Just take a step to be a bit more pragmatic. Look at your overarching vision, but just think of simple things like cars, like generators, the boring stuff, to allow you the opportunity to have as much Hessian and lace as you like.
I don't think we can stop. I'm going to have to give one more. I know you said one, but I think you do have to think about plan B. You do have to actually practically think about the walkthrough of the event. I think you need a wedding planner. I think whether you have someone plan the entire day or on-day coordination at least. But fact of the matter is, if the toilets block, for argument's sake,
ours did,
do you want to clear them out, or do you want someone there? You know, if the band don't know where to go, do you want to get up off the table and help them, or do you want so having, whether you can get a caterer do it as part of theirs, or a celebrant, or a master of ceremonies, or you just get a on-day coordination in, have that, you'll not regret it, and you probably don't even realize.
Absolutely agree with you there. Yeah, because it's those little jobs that all happen throughout the day that you wouldn't necessarily think of until you get there. You know, who's going to be responsible for moving all the chairs from point A to point B after the ceremony, for example. So yeah, I think that's a really, really important tip, to get someone there who's your kind of coordinator and who's going to take charge. And a lot of venues offer that now. Somebody who's your sort of on the day coordinator, which is fantastic. But with like a blank canvas venue, there's not always someone.
It was our best man. We felt so bad. Alan was and not different Alan.
My best man was called Alan.
And he was literally arm deep in Lublu, because he was trying to unblock it. But we didn't know that on the day, because it was our wedding day. But you don't want your guests to be those people.
No, you don't. And you think it's great, you've got a mate who can do it for you. I don't want that. I want him having a beer with me at the bar, or whatever. So pay someone to do it, really.
Money well spent.
Two top tips there. Thank you ever so much. So remind listeners, viewers again, if they want to know more about Yellow Tuxedo and what you offer, where can they find you? Where should they go?
If you'd like to find out more about Yellow Tuxedo, yellowtuxedo.co.uk, and all across all of the socials at Yellow Tuxedo. And if you're more interested in the digital circus, both the membership or the live, www.thedigitalcircus.co.uk will take you to both the live and the membership information as well.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with the Digital Circus Live. I hope it goes really well. I'm sure it will be a fantastic event. And thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been epic. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.